This poem is particularly for people who aren't Canadian, but Canadians can vibe along. Welcome to Canada, where you've probably heard of lumberjacks in flannel shirts and voyageurs in beaver furs. And don't you know that we say A after every word? And we've got that handsome young prime minister. They probably didn't tell you about the lack of drinking water on reserves. And there's over 2,000 missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. They say this is unceded Mi'kmaq territory, but fracking still occurs. Take a walk downtown and see the history we preserve. Now, a majority of people here in Halifax approve. And they say statues celebrating Mi'kmaq genocide shouldn't be removed. But then they say there's no racism here, so perhaps you are confused. You'd be forgiven if you didn't hear about all the Black kids suspended from our schools. Did they tell you about the colored home and all the children they abused, or the solitary confinement that we like to use on youth, and all the Black and Indigenous communities the government pollutes? And wait until I tell you about immigration detention and the people we refuse. We shackle women to their beds and we say that's just the rules. Oh, but I saw Trudeau hugging all those Syrians on the news. Did anybody take you to that Tim Hortons drive-through while they hire foreign workers and then threaten to deport them? But when you buy that double-double, that's probably not important. The UN released a report saying racism here is deplorable and we're building luxury condos instead of housing that's affordable. We had to settle with Omar Carter because we allowed him to be tortured. We won't let Chelsea Manning come across our borders while we welcome more criminals who perpetuated slaughters. But people think Canadians are just so polite and so adorable. We love to feel superior and to wave the maple leaf. We're very proud here of our shipyards and all the jobs that they've increased. We just don't mention who those warships will be killing in the Middle East, just like we don't talk about the slave ships that funded Alexander Keith. Don't worry, for a rich person in Halifax, he really was not unique. If you committed genocide in Africa, we'll honor you with a street. If you were on the side of slave owners, we probably named a university. We were the #1 suppliers of salt cod to plantations in Haiti. Our merchants petitioned Parliament against the end of slavery, and that South End money came from trading with the Confederacy. We exploit the migrant workers picking our apples and blueberries. This really is not a friendly province for workers or employees. The cops are on the sunshine list, but we can't get a rent freeze. But the poverty in this province never makes the highlight reel. Lighthouses and bagpipes are probably the only thing you see. We leave Africans crossing the border out in the snow to freeze. And please don't read the comments on Indigenous stories on CBC. We've got white supremacist groups interrupting ceremony. They shot fireworks at the water defenders protesting Alton gas. A mass shooter drove around in a police car in a uniform and badge. We tried to pass a motion to ban the Confederate flag, but our police are more concerned about these mythical Black gangs. Did they tell you African Nova Scotians were 400 years upon this land? They promised farms and land grants, and then they stole it back. White people changed the names of their communities beside us on the map. Sidewalks and grocery stores are just a couple of things we lack, and now they're investing millions on prison construction contracts. If you come around here near Canada Day, you can attend the military tattoo. Just don't expect to learn about Canada leading Haiti's coup, or maneuvering with AFRICOM or in the Lima group, or the rape and torture of teens in Somalia by our peacekeeping troops. They'll never tell you about our mining company militias and their sexual abuse. You'll never hear it in our media. There's a whiteout in the news. The submarines come in our harbor weaponized with nukes. On the ground in Africa, we're putting down our boots. Our politicians team with corporations to go around the world and loot. And the military roam our schools, collecting new recruits. Moving on, you might want to be careful as a woman taking cabs. Unfortunately, consent laws are optional for our judges to understand. And I know women walking downtown where white men snatched off their hijabs. But we're in the land of tolerance, as every Canadian brags. If you're tired of hearing about residential schools and Cornwallis taking scalps, take a walk in the public gardens where you can relax. Oh, I forgot about the Boer War monuments to concentration camps and the murder of Nigerians commemorated on a plaque. Oh, wait a minute. Did you hear we were a promised land for Blacks? Did you drive by our arena, named for Scotiabank? Say that name in the Caribbean and you probably won't get thanked. Our money in the region has us joining imperial ranks. The police down in New Glasgow even got themselves a tank. But say colonialism in Canada and people draw a blank. Because let me tell you about our national sport. We're all fans of hypocrisy. I'm sorry, did I get that wrong? I meant to say hockey. And far be it from me to criticize Sidney Crosby about white people here in Canada. They don't care about Black bodies. People are still in denial that this country once had slaves, and police on their patrols are sending Black men to their graves. Indigenous and Black bodies are filling up our jails. They stop us 3 times more in Halifax, but they say that that's not race. It couldn't be. That only happens down in the United States. And if you leave the city over the McKay Bridge, you might want to look out of your window and wave goodbye to Africville. And you might hear the cannon firing at noon off Citadel Hill. It's just your daily reminder of all the Mi'kmaq that they killed and the control they have today, why police control their will. And the elders in our communities are ill from the landfills, and that colonizing slave trader queen still gracing all our bills. And then you turn on US TV and they say, Canada? I heard that place is chill. If I could only move to Canada, my dreams would be fulfilled. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the seminar. Thank you.